Welcome back, everybody. We're here today, episode 2648. Can't wait to get back to our community's questions. Every single weekend, as you know, we answer our community's questions as they come in through Ask Cabral. That's that web page that allows you to ask any health question you may have. And I get to answer those in the order they come in. So typically it's about 12 weeks lead time right now. But as I always say, you can get your question answered same day. We can help you find the podcast, find the lab, find the answer, find the protocol, whatever it might be, find the resource just by going to cabralsupportgroup.com. That's a free private Facebook group, over 22,000 people and counting, probably 23,000 by the time this show airs. And what I want you to know is you can basically get same-day answers right there. So don't be afraid to ask your question. You're welcome to. Happy to answer that. But I always want to make sure that you don't have to wait 12 weeks before you get that answer. All right? So let's dive into the show. Let's see who we have up here today. Opening up the document right now. And let's go. First question is from Lindsay. Oh, and this one, just a notation from my team that we are not going to list the podcast name and the person who is more controversial on the topic of vitamin D. But basically, they are looking to get my side of the debate on vitamin D that goes contrary to conventional medicine, functional medicine, and even a lot of naturopathy. So I'm happy to do that. What we'll do is I won't name the actual doctor or show, and I will do a podcast on the differing opinions on vitamin D. All right? So happy to help with that. And Lindsay, just know your question has been noted and will probably be turned into a full show. All right? Thank you for writing that in. Next one is from Lindsay again. I think Lindsay, let's see. Yes, and Lindsay, you left off on yesterday's show, episode 2647. So if you want to follow along with today's questions, head on over to stephencabral.com/2648. And while you're there, you may as well pick up a free copy of my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. It's literally free. I pay for it. We just ask that you pay for shipping. It's about the same to print as it is to ship. It's about $7 to $7.50 or so. And I pay for the first half, and then you just pay for the shipping. That's it. All right. So Lindsay's up. Lindsay says, hello again, Dr. Brawl. One more question to have a conversation about. I'm breastfeeding, and I wonder about the future autoimmune issues for my baby. If I comprehend the autoimmune theory correctly, when the gut is leaky, proteins cross the lining, and the body sees them as invaders, creating an autoimmune response that expresses in the weak part of the individual body. This is very simplified. Since babies are born with permeable guts, can proteins go through my milk to do this? I'm specifically worried because I have MODY, or type 1.5 diabetes. Since dairy in babes can cause type 1 diabetes, if I eat dairy, will that do the same through my milk for the baby? What about allergen introduction? They should do the big 9 within the first year. If one is a trigger, will it create autoimmune? These are great questions, really great questions. So here's what I want to share with you. Yes, I mean, basically everything you said was correct. The last part we don't know on, and I don't know that I would even be worried about that. Okay, so let's share with you, let's summarize basically the great summary that you gave. So a lot of autoimmune issues have to do, and I've got my model right here, my buddy Walter. This gut right here is about 26 feet, and I just took off the ileocecal valve there, but this is about 26 feet. And not quite, just a little bit less. It's about, well, let's say a foot or so less because we're not taking the esophagus and stomach into it. But this becomes permeable. And if it becomes too permeable in adults, then proteins, bacteria, et cetera, begin to escape. When they're in your bloodstream, your immune system becomes heightened, and it can, not always, but can lead to autoimmune issues. That could be rheumatoid for some people, Hashimoto's for others. It could end up as lupus, psoriasis. It could end up as forms of alopecia in other people. So that part is true. Now, the next part is babies up until about 2 years old have permeable guts. They're supposed to be permeable so that when they're breastfeeding, they can get the immunoglobulins, right, the white blood cells and everything they need from their mother through, by the way, a miracle that we really have no idea about. If they have a certain cold, sickness, etc., while they are nursing, the mother will actually produce the antibodies that are needed in order to help that child. It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, really, that's the beauty of nature, right? So there's that part to it. Now, what Lindsay's worried about is, will she pass on her autoimmune issues to her daughter through breastfeeding? Again, I'm giving you my initial inclination. I believe the answer would be no. There's a lot of parents with autoimmune issues and their kids don't have to have those autoimmune issues. Typically, an autoimmune issue comes after you've filled up the rain barrel, right? It's not just one thing. That you have high levels of inflammation in the body, that the body has already had some period of time to become dysfunctional. I would, if a woman is able to, I believe that there's probably more benefit than not. And by probably, I mean, I believe that, I know that not all women can, but you're giving a massive service to the child by being able to breastfeed. So that is that. Introduction foods, I have no idea I have no issue with an introduction in foods. And if there is a reaction by doing them one at a time, you will be able to notice and you'll be able to then not continue to introduce that food. So hopefully that's helpful, Lindsay. Caitlin's up next. I'll try to keep this short. How do I know if I'm suffering from Candida overgrowth or just have a lot of the symptoms of it for different reasons? I have severe eczema and dermatitis in my hands. I've suffered from this for years on and off. I'm working in a restaurant again, which has worsened it, but I know that my poor gut health in the past has played a role in steroid withdrawal as well. Let's see what else. I took major steps to improve my health. Basically, I have skin issues, I have yeast infections sort of often, and now I'm experiencing dry scalp. Could this just be a few things happening at once or because it's winter? I live in New York. I'm sorry for the lengthy message and understand if you can't answer it on the podcast. Thank you for all you do. Of course, I'm going to answer it on the podcast. No problem at all, Caitlin. So here's the thing. I have assessments that are free. They're basically quizzes that ask you questions that I would ask you even in my practice. So go to stephencabral.com/assessments. Take a free assessment, okay? That is not a diagnosis, just so we all know that I'm not providing any diagnosis, medical treatment plans, medical advice, or medical cures. What I look for is the underlying root cause. How can I help you define if you have Candida? Well, we can basically run 2 labs. I would run 3, the gut bundle, right? So I would run the bacteria and parasite stool test, the Candida metabolic and vitamins test, and the food sensitivity test. If you can only run one, I would run the Candida metabolic and vitamins test. You can find all of those at stephencabral.com/labs. That's what I would do. That's the only way to know. Like, nobody knows for sure unless you lab test. You can have strong inclination. 100% I agree. Eczema, most likely tied to a food sensitivity and or leaky gut, Candida overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth. Most likely, yes, most likely I agree with you. So you can run the lab or you could do the CBO protocol. So yes, all of that. Okay, hopefully that's helpful, Caitlin. LS is up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I'm an integrative health practitioner level 2, and I have a question regarding food sensitivity testing. There seems to be a newer version of this test called MRT, which, unlike IgG, testing for only type 3 sensitivity, is testing for the type 4 sensitivity. They claim that when the T cells identify a food as harmful, they release mediators such as cytokines, histamines, and prostaglandins, causing inflammatory symptoms. Since MRT apparently measures the release of the mediators from white blood cells, and these mediators are pro-inflammatory chemicals, which leads to chain reactions, wouldn't it make it much more accurate to test in food sensitivities? Thank you for your thoughts. All right, so I was using MRT and other forms of food sensitivity back in around 2010. And I had used that for quite a while. I'd used multiple food sensitivity tests that looked at IgM, IgG. I had looked with MRT, and I was not satisfied with the results because they were coming out with dozens of foods that people were sensitive to, like so many foods. And so I said, well, this basically just means everything is reacting in the body, so we have to be careful on that because there's some level of reactivity to anything foreign we put in the body. And so working with certain mentors and research I was doing on my own as well, I said the easier ones to pinpoint are Ig and IgA. And I don't want to charge people for that because typically the food sensitivity tests are like $600, $700 for the much larger ones. And I said the ones that people really can't figure out on their own are the IgG. That's what I did, and it's been a game changer for our practice. Now you, as a practitioner, are welcome to do what you believe is the right thing, right? So like the thing is, I share with you what I know works well in my practice and I know helps people. But if you find something else that you believe genuinely is going to help people in your practice, you don't need to shout down anybody else. You can just say, hey, listen, this is what I do, right? And I think that that's a great thing to do too. So I'm not here to hold you back. I want to build you up, and I want to build up all the other IHPs. But this is what I do. And until I see a more replicable result each and every time, not just based on a one-time testing, which I don't love, right? Like if I were to, so you have to ask yourself, and you should run this because this is what I do for tests. Run your MRT, eat the same foods one day, take the test, okay? 2 days later, eat the same exact foods, run the test. And again, there's a little bit of investment of money, but if you're gonna do a new lab, you might as well invest the money to see if it's right for you and your clients, right? That's what I do. I spend my own money, I run the same lab, and I look to see if I get the same results. If you see different results, basically on different days, I'd be careful with that lab, all right? I mean, like 2 days apart. Obviously, if you waited 12 weeks, it could certainly be different. All right, Melissa's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I've been working with a local functional medicine doctor, and I found out I have 2 MTHFR gene mutations. High estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone look good. High cortisol and ApoE3/4 genotype. Low dopamine, high oxidative stress. AA, EPA is high. Low MCHC, a marker for celiac disease, is high. Strep in my gut, no parasites, and my IgG and IgM are both very low. My functional medicine doctor is telling me to find an immunologist. I'm thankful to have all of this information, but I'm feeling overwhelmed. I want to reach out for any specific advice you can provide with this info, nutritional testing, exercise, etc. Are there certain foods I shouldn't be eating with MTHFR gene mutation or high estrogen? All right, so bottom line, I'm going to tell you this, Melissa. This is why, and I'm not being, as my grandmother would say, flip. You can't run lab tests just with anybody. And that's the truth. Getting your results is only the first step. I want people to really know this. Getting your results is just the first step. If your doctor simply runs the labs and then scares you with all of these high and low levels, in my opinion, they did more harm than good. This is the whole reason I created the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. The whole reason. So that I could train thousands of people around the world to be able to help people read at-home lab tests. Because you now are asking me to figure, and I'm always happy to, again, all this to figure out in a minute, right? 2 minutes. And so, again, without being flip, I just don't want people doing this. Do not run labs with a doctor that is not able to help you. There's no need to refer you to an immunologist. Again, I'm not giving you medical advice. Your functional medicine doctor should be trained in basically integrative health. But keep in mind, functional medicine doctors, it's just a name, functional medicine. It just means that they run labs beyond your typical blood work. It doesn't mean anything else. That's all that it means. There's no degree just in functional medicine. Sure, I did things like the IFM and those types of things, great, but there's not a degree. It's not a standard. It's really not. And so anyway, I want to share that with you because there's so much to go over, and all of this is fixable. It really is. So my recommendation is this. You work with an integrative health practitioner or one of my team members at Equilife. That's really, because again, I'm not trying to say, oh, you have to work with us and pay us. No, you can work with anybody, but all of this is fixable. You can't fix it in just a minute question, 2-minute question. And again, I don't mean to be rude by any means, but like, I'm not answering it for a very specific reason. That all of this is fixable, but you need a real plan, right? You need to know what high cortisol, the causes of it are. You need to know why you might have low dopamine. You might want to know why you have high estrogen. Like, all of those things matter. It's just not one-off markers. It's how it's tied to other things in your body. So I would go to integrativehealthpractitioner.org, click on the Practitioner tab, find any practitioner anywhere in the world. Most of them work virtually. They can work with you. All right? You have to find an IHP level 2 because they can work with labs. Or you can work with my team over at Equilife. And that's pretty easy. You can just go to stephencabral.com/health-coaching, and you can find a team member there. And this is more of a public service warning. I appreciate you, Melissa, for bringing this up, but this is more public service. Don't run labs with just anybody. It's dangerous. Because now they give you all these results that might look scary. They shouldn't be, Melissa. I don't think you have a lot to worry about. They may look scary, but then they can't help you with them. To me, that's not good medicine. It's really not. You know, the first oath you take is do no harm. I believe that this is harmful. I don't believe that this is do no harm. Again, so I try to look out for people. And so sometimes it makes me a little too fired up, but I don't believe that your doctor should have done that, in my opinion. Again, I wasn't there. I wasn't in the room. They might have explained all of this to you, and they might just been saying, hey, as a precaution, we're going to send you to an immunologist. That very well may have happened, and then your doctor, you know, they did the right thing. They did a great thing. But if you're coming to me asking me all these different things, it seems to me, that's all, it seems to me like they didn't do that part, which is the program, right? So like, it's like the results is one thing, fine. But then you have to educate them as to why it's happening, and then the protocol as to how to rebalance your body. The labs is the easy part. You can run that anywhere in the world, right? So anyway, sorry, I have to get off my soapbox there. You know what? That was, I probably went a little overboard there. We're gonna keep it at that for today. I will be back though tomorrow with our Mindset and Motivation Monday. And I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be in a positive note, moving us in the right direction. All right, so I'll be back here, but take care. Hope you had a great weekend, and I'll talk with you soon. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.